Hey, Quantum Life, better late than never. We were putting kids to bed, so one of them is still ornery and awake, so we are running a little late, but we wanted to do this video that was that actually came up in a session that Erin and I had, and it was an amazing story, and I just really wanted to share it with you guys. And the reason why I wanted to share it with you guys is because with the way the energy is changing right now on the planet, you know, a lot of us are just being activated. A lot of us are just becoming who we always were meant to be. And you're going to see this happen really quickly with children. And the reason why is because they don't have a lot of belief systems that they can't do these things. They don't have a lot of baggage built up where they're thinking a lot about the past. They're really living in the future. And Erin's daughter, Natalie, is very special because kind of the reason why Erin even started her journey. So I'll let you tell a little bit about Natalie.
Okay.
And then I'll get into the question and answer sequence because we just had a very special story that occurred just in her home.
A week ago.
A week ago. So I wanted to just show you guys the power of being not only conscious parents, but allowing your children and yourselves to become who you are, because this could literally happen to anyone at any time now, because the veil is so thin, and we're really becoming those psychic beings that we are, and it's going to be demonstrated a lot through children so that we can learn and remember as well. So tell us a little bit about Natalie, and I know you've done a video about her, but just a recap.
Yeah, we have lots of new members in Quantum Life, so for those of you who haven't seen my introduction video on here, our daughter Natalie, she just turned 10. She's the middle of our three. And when she was born, she contracted a MRSA infection in the hospital, which is the drug-resistant staph. And she's always just been super sensitive, gotten lots of ear infections, gotten sick easily, been sensitive to her clothing and her food and all of that. And then fast forward 5 years later, and my dad passed away rather suddenly. And after that, she really started to go downhill. She got, we called it sick. She was having night terrors, she was sleepwalking, she was getting sick very easily. And so that sent me on this quest really to figure out what was wrong with her, because traditional medicine wasn't helping us. We ended up in neurofeedback. I knew my degree's in psychology, so I'm like, I think something might be off with her brain. She was also seeing things. She described them as flies or bugs or sometimes spiders, and there was a point at which we thought she might have been schizophrenic or mentally ill, and so we end up in neurofeedback. And after months of sessions, our therapist directed me towards energy healing. So we took Natalie to an energy healer, and she saw my dad during that energy healing session. And he had kind of stuck around with her a little bit, and the energy healer cleared her of everything that was going on with her. And so I dove into books. I learned she's a crystal, that I'm an indigo. I started reading everything I could get my hands on. And one of Jessica's parenting classes popped up on Facebook, and so that's how I found Jessica. So I went to that parenting class, and then a couple months later had a session with her. And that's kind of where my journey started, and our journey of consciously parenting our children began there too.
Awesome. So they've been, they've had to change their diet. With all of us, as we become more crystalline based, which is what she was saying, her daughter is a crystal. What that actually means is that her DNA is crystallized more than maybe someone else is a little bit more carbon based. So the more crystalline, the more transparent you become, and the more transparent you become, the more of a conductor you become to energy. So pulling energy in, pulling energy out. You're going to be more sensitive to foods. You're going to be more sensitive to environment, to electromagnetic energy and energy. You're also going to be more sensitive to emotions, which means that instead of a normal empath that might feel sadness or grief or pain, a crystal child will go feel the extremes of every emotion that everyone is hiding from themselves. So crystal children are very reflective objects, which means that they're going to bring out the worst. They're going to mirror the worst in you and the best in you. And it's really kind of an extreme. And they're to kind of fast track this journey. They're there to speed it up. They're not there to necessarily be liked or admired, because a lot of them have behavioral issues, and not because they have behavioral issues, but they are literally like channeling the emotional grids of the universe. So like if mom and dad are not doing well, not that you guys weren't, but I'm just saying that they will channel your subconscious. So the secrets that you even hide from yourself, those children will demonstrate out loud. And it's because they love you, because again, our relationships in life are all about mirroring each other's inner stuff. That was Luke. He's our other little crystal child over there. Do you need help, buddy? Well, what I wanted her to do is actually just like kind of tell the story of what happened last week. Not to keep you guys out too late, but I might have to go over there and wrangle him. But go ahead and tell that.
No. So after taking Jess's parenting class, and we'd already taken her to a naturopath, and she's on a gluten-free, dairy-free, dye-free. We basically make most of our food from scratch, so that's what her diet is like, and the rest of us began to eat that way too. And we completely started parenting her differently. I started talking metaphysics with my children, and she's the one that just sits there in rapt attention and listens. And so we've talked about energy, and we've talked about our past lives and our purpose here, and I've kind of explained to her why she's different, that she's an empath and that she does feel those emotions from other people. And so she's our one we have to keep on brain tap all the time to keep her out of PTSD, because she comes home from school and I'll ask her, did your teacher have a bad day? Did you have a substitute? And inevitably a friend has had a fight or something, and she's learning what's hers and what's not. And so she'd had a couple of particularly bad days. She'd been super grouchy, and I had taken her up to our bedroom to snuggle her in the covers. And what she used to do when she was 5, when she would see the spiders or the bugs, she was kind of look around the room and kind of twitch like she was watching something. And at the time I had no idea what was going on. Well, she started doing that same thing this time. And all of a sudden she's like, Mommy, we need to leave this room right now. We need to leave. And so I took her downstairs, and I sent my husband upstairs to do some energy clearing things in our room. I'm like, I don't know what she sensed, but there's something going on. And so we're in our living room, and she's sitting on my lap, and she's just in a trance looking across the room. And she's like tracking something as it's moving with her eyes. And then she starts talking to whatever it is. She's like, and she's like, Mommy, Grandpa's standing right there. And I didn't question her. I was like, he is. Does he look like Grandpa? I started asking her questions, and she wasn't really hearing me. She was tuned into whatever was going on, and all of a sudden she hops up and she runs in the other room, and she's like, no, don't leave, don't leave. And she went straight to a picture I have in the other room, and I actually have a little painting leaning up against it right now, but there's my kids call it Grandpa's jelly bean jar. He used to keep jelly beans in it, and they would always get candy out of it when they went to his house. And the jar's there, and then the picture of him and the kids is behind it, and she pulls the painting down and is looking at him, and she's looking over, and she's like comparing two things. And I kind of reached my hand out, and it was colder in that part of the room than it was in the other part. And I'm not seeing him, and I'm like, dang, I'm jealous. And so she starts talking to him and answering him and saying, no, I can't do that, I'll get in trouble. And he was asking her if he could be her invisible friend that hangs out with her, and could he take her focus away from things from time to time. And she was worried about getting in trouble at school or at soccer practice. And so we talked about setting boundaries and telling him when it would be okay for him to do that with her. And I'm like, well, what does Grandpa have to say? I'm questioning her. And the first thing out of her mouth had to do with my mom, and that I should call my mom. And I have my mom's a narcissist. We actually don't have any contact with my side of the family anymore. They're very toxic for me and for our kids. And so I was very suspect. I'm like, okay, maybe she's just manipulating the situation to get me to call Grandma. But then we sat down, and she starts telling me things that there's no way she would have had the language for, things we haven't spoken about, or things she just wouldn't have known. She started using words like consciousness and awareness, and I've not phrased it to her that way. She's in 4th grade, and Jess talks about she teaches at a 4th grade level, so I've kept it at 4th grade for her. But I was asking her questions about, were we doing everything that we could be doing for the 3 kids as their parents to make sure that they had every opportunity to become the people they're meant to be. And she talked about how we feed them now. That if I hadn't worked so hard to figure out what was wrong with her, that she would probably be really, really sick or even dead right now. And that the other 2 won't ever get as sick as she will, but that they could get emotionally sick if they ate regular food. Oof. And being a health coach and knowing that mind-body connection and just how closely related to like gut inflammation and things, depression and all of that are, that made total sense to me. I asked her questions about me, like what did Grandpa have to say about
this is good.
my life, and my coaching practice, and getting clients, and his answer was basically, when I am ready to completely be authentic to everybody, that things are just going to explode and to grow, because I've been kind of hesitant. My in-laws are Catholic, we live in a very Christian community, and some friends are aware, that we're in Tika and about Jessica, but not all of them. And I've really struggled with how authentic do I be in certain settings. And she said to me, Mommy, when we all die and we all go to heaven, we're all going to forget anyway, and it's all just love. And she was saying things about her dad, that he could be more open, that he has some work to do, and that
love you, Craig.
Yes, we love you. And he's heard the story a million times anyway, and he completely agrees with that. He knows, because when this happened, I was instantly in belief that this could happen to her, and he's still trying to wrap his mind around, did that really happen? He still can't quite wrap his brain around it. But she just I asked her questions that she wouldn't know answers to, like what was one of my dad's favorite memories about me and him. And she brought up a April Fool's prank that I pulled on him when I was probably in 4th or 5th grade. And I don't recall ever telling that story to my kids. And there were several other things that she wouldn't have known. But her message from him was how much he loved us, how proud he was of us, that we were doing this, how we're raising our children, that we're doing what he wished he could have done, but he didn't have the strength to do. Justice told me he was an indigo, but he didn't get to live his life in a freedom-based way that he didn't
get a chance to be authentic.
No, he didn't ever get to be authentic. And he told her that she has the gift, that I do too, that my youngest, our son, probably does, that our other daughter and my husband, they need to open themselves up more. And so I was asking her questions to see what she would say, like, well, when will I be able to talk to Grandpa? And she's like, I'm sorry, Mommy, he can't answer that question for you. He wants to, but it's not up to him, it's up to you. Which I already knew that was the answer. But that's one of the things she wouldn't have known to answer that way.
No way.
If we've never talked about that before. And I'm trying to think, he was just really proud of how open we are with the kids, and that basically the way I was handling that situation, that he was happy that we got to talk for so long. This went on for almost an hour.
Yeah.
And then she says, and she could see him while this is going on, and then she said when he came to her, he had pink around him, and when he left, he was turquoise. And so the energy even shifted with her while she was having this conversation, because she was so grouchy when it started, and when it was over, she was on cloud 9. She was super happy. She's been happy since then. But she said, Grandpa says he knows it's bedtime, and that I need to go now. And so she did. She got up, she took a couple steps across the room, and then she just collapsed.
Yeah.
Like, it took all of the energy out of her. And it was just this really awesome, wonderful, amazing experience to get to watch one of my children open up her gifts. We've known she's super sensitive and super special, and I've always known she's meant to do something like this. I just didn't expect it to happen at 10. He said to her, he tried to communicate with her before, but she wasn't old enough and it didn't work. But she had just had her birthday. She's 10 and she's old enough now, and he knows she can understand him. So that's why now she just turned 10 in February. So,
wow. Well, and the reason why I wanted her to share the story, first of all, it's amazing, and this is the kind of like the faith that we need right now going forward, because any other parent would have looked at Natalie and put her on drugs, you know, to quiet the storm within, because our crystal children are literally like, there's a storm, you know, always brewing, because they have such a big message, and the message is always for others. It's, you know, this is how you're reflecting, this is how you're looking, this is how you're feeling, this is how you're suffering. Because the one thing about me as an intuitive is I will tell you that 90% of the time what people actually say and what they feel are two different things. You know, we get so good at being social and conforming and politically correct, and we don't even know that we have desensitized our authentic selves so below the surface that when you say something to someone and they answer you, they actually believe that they're giving you the correct answer. And that's why when I'm sitting in a life coaching session and I ask a question and they give me an answer and I say, okay, tell me how you're really feeling. And then they start crying and they go, I don't know why I'm crying right now. Because again, open-ended questions always bring up the subconscious. And in this time and space, as the veil is thinning out and the energy is moving really fast and furious, and our kids are literally here to say, you know, I don't share your ancient belief systems that I can't be myself. You're going to have to change my diet if you love me. You're going to have to get your shit together because I'm going to be a lot of work. And so, you know,
she is,
and
but it's worth it.
And again, she's going to say, I'm going to hold you accountable to yourself. And that is
and
a channel.
Just kept saying over and over again about the being authentic part, that it doesn't matter. Because I asked her how she felt about talking to him. She's like, it doesn't matter if people think I'm weird, because when we all die, we're all going back to the same place, and it'll be fine. Everybody will understand at that point.
Yeah, that was really cool. Yeah, I mean, when she told me, we were both like, oh, yeah, you know, it's like this amazing. Because, you know, we as parents, I mean, conscious parent, unconscious parent, it's not easy. You know, I mean, and I even say that I think it's a little bit even more difficult to be a conscious parent, because you have to take so much more responsibility for the emotional states, for the fine-tuning, for the nutrition, and the cool thing about the conscious parenting, though, if you guys have followed any of my stuff or read any of the cool books that are available, is that we're really not supposed to be over-nurturing our children. We're supposed to be just, you know, we're there to basically teach them how to have roots and wings, which means that whatever wings they are, if she's going to be a channel, if she's going to be psychic, if she's going to be a piano player, if she's going to be, you know, whatever any of our children decide that they're going to be, our job is to influence them to become that while they feel totally safe in their becoming. And I think that's what we want as adults, is we want to feel totally safe, to be completely authentic, and feel secure to become ourselves. And so, like, if we can root those two things and then provide education about nutrition and, you know, unconditional love, and then as parents, the biggest challenge is walking that talk, is like walking the talk of self-love, walking the talk of, I'm going to eat well too. I'm not just going to feed you well. You know, I'm going to spend time with you, but I'm not going to give my life to you, because that's not what we're here to do. Is we're not here to do anyone else's journeys. And so basically what Natalie was in the perfect environment to activate and allow her gifts to come through, because she felt safe and she had the ability to be completely authentic. And I will tell you guys, those are the two secrets to opening up all of your gifts, is finding safety, even if it's just safety within yourself. Like when my gifts opened, I didn't have the safest environment. I didn't have the safest relationship. I didn't have the safest, bank account, but I felt like home to me. I really was connected to myself. And so I had that, and then I had trust. I trusted the information that was coming through to me, and I didn't really judge it. I didn't necessarily share it with everyone right away, but as it flowed out, I knew that it was coming through me for a reason. It didn't make sense. And I will tell you guys, most of the stuff that's going to come through you in the next 6 to 8 months, that just, whether you're channeling or whether you just start doing something new for the first time, all you have to do is trust it. You don't have to understand it.
Well, and I asked her, I was like, how is Grandpa talking to you? And she's like, I can't really explain it, Mommy. It's like thoughts come into my mind and sit there, and then they turn into words, is how she described it.
And that's exactly what channeling is. So, well, we didn't want to keep you guys up too late. We just really wanted to share this story, and because I was very inspired by this story, and I plan to do a lot more conscious parenting classes. I'm getting ready to do a remote view class Friday on quantum life, and then we have a lot more cool stuff coming. I've been working with my producer to get the dual screen set up so that I can actually time travel someone who lives in California. So I'm working on getting that dual screen set up so I can do a live time travel for you guys and see that. And I would also love to teach a beginning channeling class on Quantum Life page, this group. So if anybody's interested in that, we will probably have like that scheduled event like on a calendar, because you won't want to tune in live to that one. You'll like want to actually we'll schedule that one. So that's all coming up for April, because April's all about balance. I hope you guys joined us for Second Sunday, and we love you all, and we will see you soon.